I want to do a review on a Leatherwood 1-4x24 scope. I've got this mounted on my SIG 556 rifle and I use it for coyote hunting. There are several features about this scope that I was looking for, and I want to go over those real quick. First, this has the exposed target knobs, which I like. It's got the elevation and windage, so you can zero it in at whatever range you want to, typically 100 yards. And then once you have it sighted in, you set the dial here so that it's the zero mark is lined up with the mark on the scope, and then you can go back and later and adjust this for whatever elevation or windage that you need to. It also has a what's called a close quarter reticle. This one's called a CMR reticle, which is Leatherwood's proprietary reticle. It stands for close medium range, and I'll go over a little bit more about that here in a minute. It's got a bullet drop compensator built into the reticle with hash marks out to 800 yards. I actually used that. The first time I took the scope out, I was able to drop a coyote at 300 yards by using the 300 yard hash mark, so that worked pretty good. And it has a lit reticle, which is useful for low light conditions. It is a 1-24 power. I was looking for something that goes down to 1 or 1.5 power so that I could actually look through the scope with both eyes open, which comes in handy whenever you're looking through brush, dense brush, looking for a target or your game, like a moving coyote. With both eyes open, you can acquire your target quicker, and looking through the scope, it just puts the reticle on your target. So it's, once you get used to it, it's a pretty good way of locating your target. It's a pretty compact scope, pretty lightweight. That was also one of my criteria that I was looking for. As far as the reticle, I like it a lot. I'll put a picture up of the reticle now. It's I guess I would give it an A rating. It has the dot in the center, which is for fine shooting, and then it's also got the larger circle outside of that, which is for close quarter or nighttime or something, a moving target. You can put that on, if you're close enough to it, you can put that on your target, and you don't have to worry about getting the dot exactly where it needs to be. As long as your target is within that circle, the larger circle, you can take a shot at it, and that's handy whenever it's a fast-moving target. Also, the bullet drop compensation, as I said, I've already used it and it worked effectively, so I'll give that an A rating as well. The lit reticle, I'll put a picture up that I tried to take. It's hard to take a picture at night with a lit reticle with a low-quality camera, but this picture shows my car that I got lit up with a garage light, and you can see that the only parts of the reticle that are lit are the dot and that larger circle, and that's fine. I wouldn't need the hash marks to be lit up. But one thing I have found is that the lit reticle has a lot of glare and what I would call light bleed. So when you turn it up past its lowest settings on brightness, you start to get so much glare that actually at nighttime, with the setting all the way up, which you would never really do in a practical situation, but with the setting all the way up, you look through the scope and you can't even see through it. It's just a glare of green light inside the scope tube. And I think that's just an indicator of the quality of the scope is not nearly as good as some of the upper end scopes. So for the reticle, I would give it a C, simply because it's actually, whenever you are in really low light conditions and you have the reticle set to its lowest light setting, it's still enough glare that it makes it difficult to see the target sometimes. So it actually affects your shooting ability. So I would have to give that a C rating. The optical quality, I would give a D. It's not all that great of optical quality, and I say that comparing it to something like Schmidt and Bender and Zeiss, which are very, very high quality scopes. So it's probably not a fair comparison, but I think if I'm rating the scope overall and considering and factoring in the price, I think I'd give this scope an A, or maybe a B plus. I think it's a pretty good scope when you're looking at the price range. With all the characteristics and features that it has, it really does all of those pretty well, but not extremely well. So if your price range is $250 or $300, I would probably recommend this scope if that's the most you have to spend on a scope. If you're putting on a semi-automatic 223 like a SIG 556 or an AR-15, it's going to get you by just under low light conditions with the combination of the lower quality optics and that light bleed on the reticle. You're not going to be able to see very long distances under low light conditions. I would say 50 yards under very low light dusk or moonlight conditions. It's about the most you're going to be able to get. And what I'm looking for is, I just recently did a review on my new Minox binoculars, and with those binoculars under full moon or even half moon conditions, I can see really well. They got very bright optics. It picks up a lot of light. So I want to be able to look through those binoculars, scan the field or the horizon, and if I see something, I want to be able to put down the binoculars and pick up the rifle and glass that target, same target with the scope. And with this scope, I wouldn't be able to do that. I would be able to see the target with the binoculars, but I wouldn't be able to see it with the scope, so that's not very useful to me. Eventually, I'm going to get a Valdata scope, which is a 1.5 to 8 power, and it's a much more expensive scope, but it's a much nicer scope. But I'm not going to be getting that until first of the year, so I wanted something to put on this rifle so that I could use it for hunting in the interim. So this was a nice stopgap measure, and once I do get the Valdata scope, I'm going to take this one and mount it on my 10-22, and it'll be an excellent scope for that, as far as shooting critters at night and having that lit reticle and being able to magnify. And what I'll do is I'll sight it and figure out what the bullet drop, where that works out for the 22 ballistics, and then I can just make a note of that and very quickly be able to acquire targets at different ranges and use that scope on the 10-22. So like I said, overall I think I'd give it a D, but I'm comparing it against some pretty high quality scopes. If you're looking at this scope, there's a couple of others that I looked at as well. There was a Millet. I don't remember the exact model number or model name of the Millet, but it was very similar to this one. And then Nikon makes one. It's I think they call it their 223 scope or something like that. And they're both very similar to these, but neither one of them have all of the options. I think the Millet didn't have the exposed target knobs, and the Nikon did not have a lit reticle. Of the three, I imagine Nikon would have the best optical quality. Nikon makes pretty good glass, but it wouldn't do me any good to have that better optical quality and then not have a lit reticle to use under low light conditions. So kind of ruled it out. There's one other scope that was a little bit higher price point, and that is the Vortex Viper 1-4 by 24. That one I would say would be a good scope for a permanent solution. I would put it as a mid-grade scope and would probably fulfill all the requirements I have pretty well. Probably not as good as some of the other scopes like the Valdata that I'm eventually going to end up with, but it would do a pretty good job of it. So I would say if you could. If you're looking for a scope, if you could move up to the $500 range, I would look at the Vortex Viper. I think that would probably be the minimum that would get you all these features as far as good quality optics for low light conditions and a good lit reticle with exposed target knobs. All of those features would be in the Vortex Viper. Vortex also makes an HD, which is more expensive. It's more in line with the Valdata price, and it's a very good quality scope as well. So I just actually got back from coyote hunting. I was out tonight, and we have a full moon. I was out earlier, and it was a nice bright night, and the full moon lit the place up really well. By the time I got out there, however, there was a haze, like a foggy, cloudy haze casting over the entire sky. So the light quality was degraded quite a bit, and I couldn't see a whole lot with this scope, so I didn't stay out very long. With my Minox binoculars, I could see pretty well, but not with this scope. So it just reinforced me that this is not going to do what I need to do if I'm planning on doing low light hunting, which I do a lot of that for coyote hunting. So I hope this has been useful to you. If you're looking for a scope, it's not a terrible scope. It's got its pros and cons. The price is really good, but it's just if all you're going to be doing is hunting during the daytime, I don't think you would ever have any problem with it. But if you plan on hunting dusk or dawn or at night like I do, then I don't think you'd probably be all that happy with this scope. So until next time, stay safe, and thanks for watching.